This is it, folks. Time is slipping away quicker than I ever could have anticipated. So welcome one, welcome all to the final end game, I guess you could call it that, of the Australian version of the Mates Race podcast. Yes, you heard that right. So if you don't know, well, I don't know where you would have been, but my wife and I are moving to Canada, and the move is happening in just over 3 weeks, which is insane to think of. So this will be probably one of the final podcast episodes that I do in this room. You know, like all this stuff that you see here in the background, this shelving unit, that'll be gone next episode. And this will be one of the last video versions of the podcast that I'll do. I'll still upload it to YouTube, probably just with the animation that, again, my wonderful wife Caitlin made. Lucky Hughes Creative on Instagram. If you need any cool graphic design shit done, she's the gal for it. So yeah, that's probably gonna be it, because we have to get rid of the computers and selling a whole bunch of shit. So yeah, welcome to one of the final episodes that'll be here in Australia. There's like 3 more to go, and that's it. Maybe even 2 more. Let me just look at my calendar real quick. You know, 1, 2. Yeah, I would say 2, possibly 3. We'll see. We'll see how I'm feeling. But yeah, crazy. That time went way too quick. I know it's a bit of like a rocky start to the episode. But yeah, it's still unfathomable that we're moving, even though most of our shit is gone and we've basically finalized everything now. So, because obviously we're moving countries, we are, putting stuff into storage, but for the most part, we're selling most of our shit, which has been a whirlwind of an adventure. Let me tell you this. Facebook Marketplace and Gumtree, I've had the worst luck with all of these platforms, Caitlin, on the other hand, is a fucking selling wizard, and she just gets the best price, less fuck around, and gets to deal with the best people. I just want to vent for a moment about the shit that I've had to deal with on Facebook Marketplace. Okay, so we recently just sold the car. Round of applause for that, because that was the big ticket item that we needed to get rid of so we could pay off that loan, and then we just don't have to deal with it. Oh boy, that was a nightmare. So if you don't know, we bought like a brand new car. Don't worry. As I said before, it was a car loan. Okay, we're not bloody rich as hell. We don't have a casual 30 grand laying around, but did buy a Jeep. It's been my lifelong dream to own a Jeep, and we got it. So I was very sad to let it go. But if you don't know, there's a massive microchip shortage for cars at the moment. So the secondhand car sales market is just through the fucking roof. So we were very surprised when we found out we could sell the car for like 20 grand, and we thought, let's knock it down. Let's make it a 19 grand. Let's make this a quick sale. We're not here to fuck spiders, okay, as the Aussie proverb goes. Man, I got the worst kind of deals. Most of them were like 15 grand. They're like, I'll give you 15 grand for it. I'm like, no, what? Like, why? Like, sure, I'm willing to move. I'm a businessman. I'm willing to be like, all right, you know what? Seem like a good person. Give it to you for a little bit cheaper. But yeah, not like 5 grand cheaper, but the person who has bought it, I guess they haven't even really officially bought it yet, because I don't have the money yet. I've still got the car, so it hasn't been official, the sale. So tune in on the next episode where I vent. Nah, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to fucking jinx it. The sale's going to go through. Everything's going to be fine. Jesus Christ, it just got really dark in here. It's moody. Oh, speaking of dark and moody, happy spooky season, everyone. The last event before we move. Spooky season. Very happy about that. So just quickly finished off the movie and stuff, I put a whole bunch of my lighting gear and accessories and shit up for sale. My main light that I could have gotten for like a fair bit is broken, but I haven't been able to figure out where to get it fixed because I haven't just full lockdown. So I was like, fuck it, I'll sell it for next to nothing, and then they can deal with it if they can fix it. Good for them. They'll got a light for next to nothing if they can go through that hassle. So I bundled it all together, and I was like, oh, I'll sell it off for like $400. You know, like people are probably going to be a bit pushy on the price. No, this is the one thing that people haven't been pushy on the price. I've never gotten that many messages before about my camera gear. I've been trying to sell one of my cinema lenses. By the way, if you have a spare fucking $2,000 laying around, you can buy my cinema lens off me. That'd be great. But I've been trying to move that lens for months, and no one, I think I've gotten like one inquiry about it. So I don't know how this fucking whole mechanism works, but it worked for me, and someone's picking up all the lights today. This tripod's gonna go as well. Everything's going. Everything is for sale, and yeah. Again, I've just had an absolute pain in the ass trying to sell stuff in the past, you know. So if you'd like to share your experience, I'd appreciate it, so I don't feel as alone having to deal with dickheads online on Facebook Marketplace. So I'm just trying to think oh man, I remember trying to sell a phone. Oh man, I was selling like the phone that I was trying to sell was like going for $1,200 retail, and I was selling it for $700, and people were still haggling on the price. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But yeah, selling the car was an interesting experience because I've never sold a car before. I used to have this really old car that I got off like a family friend for a really good price. Got it from New South Wales to Melbourne. I went up there and I drove it back, and got to Melbourne, took it to a mechanic because you have to I don't know why I'm explaining this, but basically, yeah, I have to make sure it's all good to be registered here in Victoria. And they found a whole bunch of issues, and it was going to cost me like 3 times what I paid the car for. And I was like, you know what, it's not worth it. So I sold that, and that's when we got the Jeep after that. But yeah, I don't know what the point of any of that was, because I wasn't supposed to record an episode today. I was supposed to do a bunch of other shit, but some plans fell through, and I managed time to sit down with all you beautiful motherfuckers and chat with you. So if you are listening to this, thank you. I appreciate you tuning in to Mates Rates Podcast. If you're listening to iTunes, give it a 5-star rating. Watch it on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Let's move on. So something else is that we've had issues with our flight changes, because Australia and the world is still kind of getting fucked around with COVID. We have had to change. How many flight changes have we had now? I think this is the third. I believe. Yeah, this is the third. So let me bring you in on this saga. Welcome to almost 30-year-old man. I'm 30 in 10 days as of today. Jesus Christ, that's gone quick. So we listened to almost 30-year-old man vent about his first world issues that he's had. Hey, I'm white and I'm oppressed, okay? You need to listen to me. So our first flight leaving Melbourne to America, or to Canada, but we have to go through America, got rescheduled, and then it got cancelled because we found out that no flights are leaving from Melbourne to America. They're only going through Sydney. Got a refund, all good. Rebooked it. And because I've got like a bazillion points, I booked the flights from Melbourne to Sydney for free. Got an email the other day. Flight from Melbourne to Sydney has been moved. And the timeline, it basically, we get there and we have 2 hours to do the international transfer and get through border security. And because they've got all the other border force stuff at the moment, like the exemptions, what I'm trying to say. The exemptions, it takes a lot longer, so we're like, no, that's not going to work. So now we're flying the day before, booking a hotel. So if you're listening to this from Sydney, let's catch up, because we'll have a full day in Sydney to hang out before we go. So, anyways, that has been kind of like catching you up on what the process is like. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'll probably answer them. If you don't have any questions, that's also fine. Don't care. Before I do continue, I know that they're at the 10-minute mark, and a lot of you might have just been like, this dude is just an old grumpy guy. And I'm just going to tune off. That's fine. I can understand that. But before you do, even if you don't watch the YouTube version, I would appreciate it if you just give that thing a fucking like, please. Just one little click, and that's all I ask, because this shit ain't sponsored by nobody. But if you want other people to know about the shit that I'm talking about, that's how you can get the word out to other people. If you don't feel like sharing it around, because I know how weird that is when people, it's like the equivalent of people adding you on Facebook and then they immediately invite you to like your band's page. I fucking hate that shit, okay? So I'm not going to ask you to do that. But if you like it, it kind of tells more people about the podcast, like just through the algorithm. So appreciate that. So let's move on to my favorite segment, which is the only segment of this podcast called Why Are You the Way That You Are, where each week I find something weird, funny, ridiculous that I want to share with you. And for the most part, it's been a video. But today, folks, we have a special text edition, which is great because I don't have to edit in another video. Because the last video, I tried to edit it in, but I couldn't get the audio for it for some reason. So it was just a video thing. If you watch that, cool. But this is a text version, okay? And this is kind of like a why are you the way you are / welcome to the hood section of the podcast, which is ironic because I'm wearing my Boys in the Hood t-shirt right now. R.I.P. John Singleton, amazing director and filmmaker. If you haven't seen Boys in the Hood, go watch it. So, for those who don't know, for the few people who don't know, I grew up on the south coast of New South Wales, a beautiful little pocket of the world, but also has a lot of like underlying issues. You know, there's a lot of lower socioeconomic classes there, and there's a big gentrification thing happening at the moment because of the pandemic. I don't really want to get into the politics of it, but that's kind of give you a fast track of what's going on, really. Like, I remember when I was a teenager, and it was so hard to get a job. And this is like 15 years ago. It was so hard to get a job. And the only way you could get a job is if you had a mate that worked somewhere and they basically just like bribed the manager to let you work there. That's how I got all of my jobs. But I don't know how kids do it now, because there's just so many more people there now. It's just exploded in population, and there's just not enough infrastructure. I could go on for ages about the issues. But if you know, you know, basically, South Coast, you know, it's beautiful, but it's pretty rough around the edges. And, you know, I call it growing pains. You learn a lot. So, this is the text version. Oh, by the way, if you do have something to submit to Why Are You the Way You Are segment, the email is matesratespod@gmail.com. Send me through an email. Appreciate it. So, there's a guy I went to high school, shout out Sam Gates, bit of a legend, made this Facebook status, and it starts off with some peak Illawarra news this week, which, by the way, it's a great way to start it because this is peak Illawarra news. Okay, so a couple of teenagers from Dapto who were COVID positive stole a car, then drove all the way to Wagga Wagga and visit a Bunnings, Kmart, and an Aussie Disposals. And then he finishes off saying, I'm not really sure if I should be really mad or laugh at how classically Dapto this story is. And yeah, if you want an insight of what my hometown is like, that shit kind of happens a lot. So, I just think that is just a classic Dapto story, and you got to laugh at it. There was like that animation, what was it, like Damo and Darren? Remember that, like Siggy Butt Brain? That was at Dapto Station, that illustration. Okay, that gives you an idea of what the kind of area was like where I grew up. So yeah, I just wanted to share that because that is fucking hilarious. Just trying to think I don't know if I can even add more to that. I just remember every time you go to Dapto, you just got to make sure not to get fucking stabbed. So, yeah. Yeah, I didn't really have much more to add to that because it really speaks for itself. But this does continue into part 2 of like hood shit. So Caitlin and I had to do a pickup order at Kmart in Keysborough. Like, I never knew that was a suburb, but it's like out on the southeast. So we had to go there to do pickup because, again, getting stuff for the move. And we get there and I think this was last week actually, but it was cold and shitty and rainy all week long. You know, it's classic Melbourne weather. We have a couple of weeks or a month of really nice summer weather, and then the rest of the time it's just cold and rainy, okay? So this is one of those classic Melbourne days, cold, rainy, and shitty. We get there, and it's like 6 o'clock, so the sun's gone down, and we're all standing outside waiting for our click and clacks. When all of a sudden these people pull up, get out, no mask wearing. We're like, okay, we're in the burbs now. And they walk up and they're standing right next to us. And Caitlin just turns to me. She's like, she's just like, look at that guy's ankle. Turn her over. And the guy has an ankle bracelet on. And I was like, boy, I haven't seen those in a hot minute. And then I also found it fucking hilarious because, again, it's cold and shitty and raining, and he's wearing shorts. So you can tell he's the type of motherfucker to be like, oh, look at me, I'm on house arrest. I wanna show that off the world. Because, like, come on, man, you can wear pants over that. And it was definitely pants, but it was freezing that night. So, and this kind of ties into, well, we first kind of speculating on the crime that he committed, and I just think it was probably the pettiest crime possible. And then he cried, and then he got the ankle bracelet, but now he thinks he's really tough because he got the ankle bracelet, which happens a lot. So yeah, and that kind of ties into like the previous Dapto status, because growing up, when you're hanging out with, when you know about all like the rough kids, it was like a glorified thing of being tough, going to juvie, committing crimes. It was in a way glorified because there was nothing else to fucking do. Nothing else to do in the town. If you don't surf or skate, if you're not ingrained in those cultures, there's nothing to do. So a lot of kids end up just doing hood shit. And that kind of threw me back. Like, you seen that ankle bracelet, and you could see he's the type of dude, he was like looking around like, yeah, look how cool and tough I am. I was like, cool, bro. You got an ankle bracelet for stealing a fucking magazine from a news agency or some crap like that. Or he drove off and didn't pay for fuel one time, you know? Like, this is how criminals are made. But yeah, anyways, I'm moving on. That whole thing was kind of stupid. But curveball. So, as you know, Melbourne's in lockdown. You know, it's not going to be my fucking personality. But I haven't been able to do anything else. I actually had the first bit of work that I've had to do in like the last 2 months, which was have a meeting with a production house in Canada. And my fucking dumbass nearly forgot about it. Almost completely forgot about it. I was just in my own world. I was like, yep, another day in lockdown. And it wasn't until like 5 minutes before the meeting started, I got a notification on my phone, and I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot about that. So I'm glad I hopped on and actually took the meeting. Shout out to, the iPhone for helping me out with that kind of stuff. So yeah, the most work I've ever done in 2 months, and I almost missed it. But yeah, if you're wondering how that front's going, it's going pretty well. I've been having a couple of meetings with production houses. Nothing's really set in stone yet because it's kind of hard when I'm here in Australia and not in Canada and they can't meet me in person. But, I've done the Zoom meetings before, and, it's all right. Tell you what's not all right. It's this fucking cloud cover. It's just ruining my video because, again, I haven't been able to set up my lights because I'm selling them. So I do apologize. Actually, I don't apologize for fucking anything. I don't give a shit how the video looks for this. I'm not in a fancy studio. I'm just in my goddamn bedroom. All right. Now, we need to talk about the hottest topic. And the sun's coming out as I'm talking about it. It's shining down. We need to talk about the hottest topic in Australia right now. Corrupt politicians resigning. Holy hell, what a week we've had. So, Gladys Berejiklian resigned over, if you don't, for like the one person that doesn't know, she is like the leader of New South Wales, which is a state in Australia. She resigned over corruption, basically. She's been investigated for corruption and the investigation's been going on for a while, but now it's kind of crunch time with it, and she had to dip so she could keep all of her benefits, okay? So don't get it fucked up. She's doing all of this for her own benefit, okay? She's doing it so she can keep her goddamn political pension. So she resigned over this investigation that's kind of going on. And then a couple of days later, her 2IC, second in charge, Bruz himself, also resigned because, again, not of corruption, but because he's doing a defamation case that's not going well for him at all. It's not working in his favor. He's probably going to lose it. And the only reason why he's resigning is so he can do the court matter in a private setting, not publicly, which is stupid because he was the one that boasted about it publicly before it all started. I don't want to go into like the deep of the politics of it, but this whole saga revolves around one thing: a fucking YouTuber, okay? A YouTuber. So when I first started watching YouTube back 15 years ago, I'd watch, the =3 videos, Philly D when he just started out, and Smosh. We're just watching dumb, stupid videos. You're just a dumb teenager. You just want memes to feed your soul. I never thought when I started watching videos on this platform that many years ago, I would say to myself, oh, one day there'll be a kid my age whose content revolves around politics and exposing their corruption will make politicians resign. And here we fucking are. I don't think Gladys resigning is a direct thing from so the YouTuber that I'm mentioning is Friendly Geordies. So his content started out just making fun of like Stereosonic and music festivals and just like the jocks of school that nobody liked. And I will say this for the record, Friendly Geordies, Jordan Shanks, I forgive you for talking shit on Ulladulla. I remember on like your 10,000 subscriber special, you said you now have more people watching you than the population of Ulladulla. And you used a high school formal photo. I don't think it was from my year though, but I will forgive you for talking shit about Ulladulla, okay? Because of this, the forgiveness has finally come around. I don't need to make an expose video on you anymore about that, all right? You're not the only one that can make expose videos. I did one on Tony Robbins. That shit's got like 30,000 views, mate. I don't fucking come for your throat, all right? Let that be a lesson. Anyways, so here's the reason why that these, like, I wouldn't say directly to Gladys, but I know to Bruz because that's who the defamation case is for. But I know that Friendly Geordies has made a lot of videos exposing Gladys's corruption, and I don't know if the ICAC, which is like the group that are investigating Gladys at the moment, I don't know if they were tipped off by his videos or if they just found it on their own accord. Regardless, shout out to Friendly Geordies for doing that. And Bruz resigned directly because of him. In his press conference, he was talking, the whole time was just talking about the lawsuit that I'm hoping he loses because that'll be a big win for all Australians. So, shout out to Friendly Geordies for bringing all this corruption to light. you know? It's cool that someone is using their platform for young people to understand, because when I was younger, I didn't give a shit about I didn't give a shit about politics until I met Caitlin, and I wasn't even registered to vote at the time. And then she asked me to care about politics and to at least register, and now I care too much. So, but yeah, shout out to Friendly Shorties for making all of this stuff more understandable for young people to consume and wrap their heads around, because it is confusing, you know? Most people who vote just vote off what their parents think, and their parents vote what they see on fucking Murdoch media. But, you know, and I just want to say I am absolutely loving people in the US posting their hot takes on why Gladys resigned. Okay, these conspiracy theories run deep, and I'm actually kind of jealous that I didn't think of any of these crazy concepts that these Americans are coming up with. Okay, like I wish I had their imagination. So they're saying stuff like she is resigning because she was about to expose the vaccine, and they're trying to silence her. What was the other ones? Some crazy shit like, well, I can't even remember them now. Well, I remember is that there was a lot of hot takes from the US, and people were like, no, she's literally resigning because she's got pressure, because she's been investigation for corruption, which is funny because people are like, oh my God, glad. Like, this is how brainwashed the media is in Australia. They're just saying, oh, Gladys, you were the best. Oh, we love you so much. I'm like, she's literally been investigated for corruption. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you're saying how good she is, but she's literally been investigated for corruption. I don't understand. Anyways, it'd be interesting to see how this whole saga plays out. But yeah, I'm just trying to think of the other crazy conspiracies about why she was resigning. It was all about to do with the vaccine and COVID and all this shit. But I love how there's also like that video going around of like Americans protesting outside the Australian consulate to say like free Australia. Like, okay, Melbourne is now the most locked down city in the world during the whole pandemic. I'm telling you guys, Melbourne, number one, always number one, okay? Don't get it fucked up. And we got the most COVID cases as well. Don't get it fucked up, okay? We're number one at everything. Most daily COVID cases. I stand corrected. But yeah, and like, yeah, we're in lockdown, but it's honestly, I don't know, like it sucks for me on a career side of things, but for the most part, I'm just chilling, man. I get paid $7.50 a week from the government to sit on my ass and watch Netflix. It's a pretty good deal. Like, yeah, sure, the whole social aspect and, you know, moving countries is really making things really difficult, but for the most part, I'm kind of taken care of, you know? It's just like my career that took a big hit, which I'm really upset about because I'll never get that time back, but it's okay. Nothing we can do about it, okay? Sorry, excuse me. But yeah, like all these Americans with their crazy theories, it's like we don't need saving. You guys kind of need saving when you think about it. There's a lot of shit going on, but I won't go into it too deep. I know this podcast hasn't been that funny, and that's okay. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes I just want to sit here and talk some hot takes. But yeah, there's always conspiracies based around misinformation from Facebook, which leads into Facebook being down for 6 hours. And, you know, I wish I saw this coming. I wish there was some way to know that this was coming, because the stock price of Facebook dropped so much. I can't remember how much money they actually lost. Wasn't it like, I don't want to say. Maybe I can just quickly look it up. How much stock did Facebook drop? Let's see. Oh my God, that's a big drop, folks. Okay, so it dropped like 5%, and I can't remember how much it was in terms of like market cap. but I'm pretty sure it dropped like $1 billion in market cap, maybe more. Basically a fuckload of money. Like 5% for a stock like Facebook to drop is a big deal all over this like whistleblower thing. But what I'm trying to say is I should have shorted the stock. I wish I saw it coming because I would have made a shitload of money if I shorted the stock. So if I bet on it going down, I would have made a lot of money. God damn it. This is why insider information needs to be known worldwide. Welcome to like the stock side of my podcast. You know, this is like a big passion of mine. Funny coming from a guy who fucking failed math in high school, but now is fully invested in the stock market. But I should have shorted it. By the way, if you're new to the stock market, especially like crypto, because I understand like there's a big thing going around by people saying you can make a shitload of money off crypto. I've been in crypto since the beginning of this year. It was when I really dived into it. Okay. Please, if you're new to crypto, don't believe the bullshit of people saying, oh my God, this is going to go to the moon. You're going to make so much money. That it's not. It's not. Okay. The only way to make money in the crypto space that's guaranteed is if you just put in money every week or every month. Just put in a X amount into your portfolio. That over time, and if you don't care about the price, that over time will make you rich as fuck. That's the only thing you need to know. It's a long game, just with anything in the stock market. Okay, if you see those TikToks that are like, I put this much in the S&P 500, and if I continue doing it, I will have this much money. But if I stop now, I will still have this much money. Exact same thing it's the exact same concept, but for crypto, you know? So don't believe these people are like, put all your money on this because you'll make a shitload of money. I'm not discrediting it. You know, you could find a low cap crypto that will pop off and will be in the top 10 and will give you like a big return. Like I know there's people who tune out right now if you don't care about this, or skip forward a bit because I will end this with what I've been watching segment of the podcast, okay? I know there's people who invested in projects like Solana, which is a really great project. I'm not in. Again, this is a classic. Oh, if I invested into Bitcoin 10 years ago, I would have been a billionaire by now. But I was looking at putting money into Solana around about June-ish, I think. And if I did that, I would have like 3 times my money by now. But I didn't do it, and that's fine because I'm like, oh well, you know, lesson learned. Because sometimes you might be like, this is a short thing, and you put money in, and it goes down, you know. So I'd like just had one of my things with crypto just dip a bit because they delayed some news, and everyone was like, no, not good enough, and they sold off. But it's fine because now it's back. So, you know, don't worry about the price. Just worry about putting money in and it'll pay off in the long run, okay? Find projects you care about and it'll work for you in the future. So, yeah, I wish I shorted the stock, okay? Because I would have made a lot of money. But another funny thing about the whole Facebook thing is like now that, you know, the whistleblower, which, you know, it's funny because I've seen memes of like, oh my God, if employees exposed the corruption or whatever the shit's going on there, they could have made a shitload of money because there is a law that's it's within the SEC is if you report some kind of level of corruption to the SEC and it's all good, you get a bag. You get paid for that shit. And because it's Facebook, I think this woman, if it all goes to court, which it will, and if there is some kind of fine paid or anything like that, this woman is going to get paid millions. Okay? And all she had to do was just copy shit onto a drive and just expose it all on a 60 Minutes episode. That bit of work that this woman has done is going to set her for life. Now, okay, the big whole moral high horse thing is that, you know, Facebook is finally being held accountable for their actions because fucking surprise, surprise, a big billionaire is, you know, has like an evil corporation type thing. Who would have thought it? You put money before people? Fuck. Jesus. What's next? I'm sorry, being too much of a dick. But it's true though. Like so if you don't know, she came out and basically said that Facebook has lied about trying to get rid of hate speech and COVID misinformation off their platform, because obviously that will affect those people who are, hateful people, Nazis, right-wing conspiracy theorists, anti-vaxxers. It's gonna it affects like the monetization from that side of the crowd. So she was providing documents saying that they only deleted like 3% of all the hate speech when they should have deleted all of it. But, surprise, surprise, they didn't fucking do that. So that's like one of the many things that she kind of exposed. But I think that's the main point that people want to care about. But yeah, are we really that fucking surprised? But yeah, it was interesting though. Like, it was funny how like Twitter was just saying hello to literally everyone because Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp was down for 6 hours. But it will be interesting to see what kind of shift this makes. Facebook won't go away. They'll pay the fine and they'll probably change some things, but they're not going away. But it will be interesting to see if other tech companies use this as an opportunity to create something different. That's what I'm kind of wondering. But it's hard when Facebook is the dominant one. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I just keep thinking that shit on like a meta type level of what like the internet will be. Because again, circling back to crypto real quick, this whole like Web 3.0 thing, Web 3, sorry, it's a whole new space, whole new structure of the internet. If you want to read into it, do it. I highly recommend it. There's this thing called the Great Reset as well, which you should look at and read into. Pause. A lot of right-wing conspiracy theorists are saying like, oh, the Great Reset, China is going to take over the world. I'm like, did you even read the website? Because that's not even remotely what they're talking about. They're talking about taking action on climate change, taking action on like the banking system, and basically how the whole world is structured, because people have realized since the pandemic that, hey, capitalism ain't working, bro. It's got like it's a ticking time bomb. So we got to change this shit. So if you want to read into it, read into Web3 as well. Very interesting stuff because, again, this will more than likely happen in the future. Okay, folks? So that's my crazy, I wouldn't even say conspiracy side of the podcast. That's just me talking shit. Anyways, but the main thing here to take away from the whole Facebook thing was how anti-vaxxers are supposed to do their research now. Now that Facebook was down for 6 hours, they must have been spiraling, I think I saw this really funny meme where saying, Facebook went down because anti-vaxxers were going to expose all the documents about the vaccine is poisonous and all this type of shit. Like, honestly, I'm just laughing my ass off now, this whole at anti-vaxxers. It's back to being funny, because they are the loud minority when you think about it. If you look at the numbers, 100,000 people a day are being vaccinated in Victoria, and the same in New South Wales. I'm just speaking in Australian metrics here. We're almost at 90% vaccination in the States and all those kind of things. So it goes to show how much the loud minority is. But it's I'm like, come on, guys. There's 5 billion doses been administered worldwide. If there was an actual issue, we would have known by now. And I know the response of anti-vaxxers is, just wait and see. Wait and see what? Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get into it because I'll start spiraling again and I'll have to jump off socials before I jump off a cliff. Anyways, let's go into the final segment of the podcast. called What I've Been Watching. Now, strap yourselves in because we've been watching a lot. Now, let's kick off spooky season with everyone's favorite hot topic, Squid Game. Yes, watched it, smashed it out. Fucking incredible. Korean cinema is where it's at because we just watched Train to Busan. If you remember that podcast episode from a few weeks ago, we watched that. We have seen Parasite. My friend also told me to go watch #Alive, which is on Netflix, which is another Korean like zombie film because we're in spooky season, so I want to watch as much like scary shit as we can. And I guess Squid Game kind of counts. It's more of like a thriller, but it kind of relies on like that whole Saw type concept. So for spooky season, it's perfect. Isn't that mental? If you haven't seen the headline, that a Korean internet company are suing Netflix because of the surge of all the people watching Squid Game, and the internet provider had to like outsource more bandwidth, literally because of Squid Game, because it's on track to be Netflix's most watched series ever, which I totally understand. By the way, if you haven't watched it, don't watch it in English. Watch it in Korean with the English subtitles. Don't watch the dubbed version. God, the voice acting is terrible on that, but it has been funny seeing all the memes surrounding the English dub version. But Squid Game is just cursed Mr. Beast when you think about it. Just saying. I know that joke's been said before, but it is funny. Again, I don't know. I have very minimal experience watching Korean cinema and TV, but I really do believe that I guess like the Koreans really give a fuck about every aspect of film. Because Squid Game, welcome to the film hour, welcome to the knowledge that you're about to get from me. Obviously, budgets for series and movies are vastly different. Movies are much more polished because they have a lot more money and a lot more time. Series, they don't, okay? They don't have those advantages. But I could not fault anything when it came to this, the writing. I'm not even going to touch that because it was done in a different language. But like the cinematography, the art design, the costume design, I guess you could say, the editing as well. There was some phenomenal editing in there. And like I could not fault it. Whereas other series I watched that Startup series, which is like a whole series about like crypto and the dark web and everything. And it's like so flawed. Like, there's times where in one of the episodes, one of the animations just drops out for a couple of frames. It was like a sign, and all of a sudden the sign just disappeared. Fucking hilarious. But those are kind of things that happen in a series because things are kind of rushed, but they really took their time to polish it. And it was fucking amazing. Obviously, same as Train to Busan and Parasite. I don't know their movies, but they were so fucking well done. And I'm like, what is Korea doing that the rest of the world isn't? I'd love to work on a Korean film set, but I don't understand Korean, and they'll probably tell me to fuck off because I'm white, which, granted, they should. America, and Hollywood, stay away from Korean cinema. We don't need a remake of Parasite. We don't need a remake of Squid Game. Just keep it the way it is because it's good, okay? Just tell people to read for once in their fucking life, all right? Anyways, that was me venting. Another crazy series we watched is it's called New York City, the Epicenter. It's a Spike Lee doco series. Spike Lee, again, another great filmmaker or director, I guess you could call him. So this is like another part of white people. This whole segment of what I've been watching is basically like why white people shouldn't really be allowed to do cinema anymore. The doco series is a 4-part series. It goes for 2 hours each, so 8 hours in total, which is phenomenal. But Spike taught, like, the first 2 episodes are about COVID, and then obviously like the Black Lives Matter movement that we had, and a lot of social issues that were happening during COVID and how New York was the epicenter for all of it. You know, they were they had the first case, the first death, the first vaccine as well. So it was really cool to see that dived into more, and like the people that they brought on were incredible. They had someone on that was one of the people who formulated the vaccine, which was incredible. I was like, oh, but I didn't even realize he had access to those kind of people. But full of great people from New York as well. And then the next 2 episodes are about 9/11. Man, there was so much about 9/11 that I just like didn't know, because obviously I was a kid. I'm pretty sure, I know I spoke about it on like the 20-year anniversary, but yeah, I was a kid, so I didn't really understand it. But this doco really kind of dives into what actually happened with the people involved and the people that were lost and all those types of things. It's something crazy like 1,300 bodies still haven't been identified. They're still classed as like missing. Like obviously they're gone, but they couldn't find any remains, which is crazy. Bit of a trigger warning for those episodes, because they are some of the shit is very confronting. Like, needed a goddamn break after those episodes. But go watch the Epicenter, New York City Epicenter. It's a crazy ride in the sense of you feel pain, you feel joy, you feel pride. Like, part of me just wanted to like stand up while watching it, being like, yeah, fucking New York, I love New York, like fucking New York proud, you know. So go watch that. And the last thing that I've been watching is the Wu-Tang Saga. Okay, it's like Wu-Tang, an American saga. It's on Stan in Australia and wherever else you can find it. But they're up to season 2 now, and the first season was really good, but the second season is just something else, man. And if you don't know, it's following a recreated series on how the Wu-Tang formed, where they came from, Staten Island, all those kind of things. This is all, again, New York type shit. But I will say that, again, this, same as like Squid Game, is so well done, crazily well done. Especially the editing. There is this clip that I shared on my Twitter, and I'll try and find it. It was when they were recording "Protect Your Neck," okay, which was the first single of Wu-Tang Clan. I'm wearing my Wu-Tang hat now, coincidentally. But the editing and the writing and cinematography of that, like, where the fuck are they getting this money from? Oh, it's either that or they're just like burning through the budget and asking for more money, because the way that they tell the stories makes you understand what was going through their mind, because they were doing like this crazy imaginative type of storytelling, which really made you understand of where they were coming from with like their verses, their word choices, all those kind of things. So if you haven't watched Wu-Tang American Saga, highly recommend it. They are almost finished season 2 that's out. Like, they're drip feeding the episodes at the moment. I wonder if the new one's out today. I hope a new one's out today, because I can go watch that. But yeah, definitely go watch that. Watch all those things. And I'm going to wrap it up because I've been talking for too long. But thank you again so much for tuning in to one of the last Australian episodes of the Mates Race podcast. I hope you enjoyed yourself. If you did, remember, iTunes 5 stars and YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. That email again, matesracepod@gmail.com. Thank you again for tuning in episode. I love you all very much. I hope you have a fucking fantastic week wherever you are in the world. And I will see you all next week. Peace and love, everyone. See you later. Bye.